Catherine Smallwood is suing her neighbor, Nathan Moon, for vet bills from a dog attack.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you, Ken?
Case number 2034, Smallwood versus Moon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Smallwood, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
probably share a common area either in the front or the back. You have small dogs. I think you have a large dog or two.
And two of them, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, two of them.
And it is your claim that one of his dogs attacked your dog on your property.
That's
The dog was injured. You want the defendant to be responsible for the vet bills that you had for your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been neighbors?
I've been living in the neighborhood for 23 years.
And what about you, sir?
Two.
Do you own your own home?
Yes, ma'am.
And you?
I rent it.
Are you familiar with Mr. Moon's dogs?
Not at all, sir.
Have you ever seen them before?
No, ma'am.
You mean in the 2 years that he's been there, prior to this incident, you've never seen his dogs?
They live in a back cul-de-sac from where I am.
Do you have adjacent property?
No, ma'am. He lives maybe about, I want to say almost a mile.
Really? Is that correct, sir?
I guess so. I don't know exactly where her house is either.
Well, so you don't have adjacent property.
We just live in the same neighborhood.
How did your dog get out? Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am. So the one,
Try to speak up.
I guess it jumped over the fence.
What kind of a dog is it?
A pit mix.
On what day did it jump over the fence?
About 2 months ago from today.
Has it ever jumped over the fence before?
It has.
Then you don't have a big enough fence.
Well, she climbs the fence. It's not that she just hops over it. She actually literally climbs it.
Then you keep her inside. Then you keep her outside if she wants to be outside, and you keep her on a chain.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you were aware of the fact that your dog can get out from over the fence, then the dog is not in your control.
Correct.
On what date was your dog injured
May 10th.
of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see the incident?
I didn't see it right away, but as I set the dogs out to use the bathroom, went back in the house, put some clothes on, heard a commotion, went back outside, and that's when I seen the first attack. And I yelled at the dogs, and they took off running down the street.
How many were there?
2.
Were they pit bulls?
Yes, ma'am. It's to my knowledge.
What color were they?
White.
Is that the color of your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
And they were together, the two of them were together?
Yes, ma'am.
You say that was the first attack,
Right.
so your dog was okay.
Well, he was laying in the ground, and I ran and put clothes on. I yelled at him. The dogs took off running. I come back out to get him, but he's on the other side of the yard. I have a half acre, so he's literally on the other side of the yard.
Your dog or his dog?
My dog, after I seen the video. I wasn't sure how he got there, but the animal control say I don't have a case unless I have video. And I looked at the video
Where did you have a camera? In your backyard?
in my front yard. It's in
You
the
have
front.
that video here?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Is that your yard?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's your dog, sir?
That's my little one, the black and white.
The little one is your dog, but the big one is his.
Yes, ma'am. And see there.
You understand what the problem is?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't you, Mr. Moon, tell me what the problem is?
So I think she was there to prevent it, for one. So there's other videos too, but she came out, she shushed my dogs away, they ran off, and then she went back inside and left her dogs outside with no leash or fenced in.
That's in her property.
I went back.
How do I know what?
That's on her. That's her
How
property.
do I know that's her? There's no property lines or nothing?
No,
Or-
that's her property.
Okay, well.
That's her property. You live a half a mile away.
Her dog could have ran out of her yard. He was like halfway out in the yard or field or whatever that was. You know, I mean, her dog came out barking at my dogs. And if he really would have wanted to hurt the dog, then he could have killed the dog if he wanted to. I feel like he was more
Just a second.
more playing.
Just a second. That's an interesting statement. He could have killed her dog if he wanted to.
Right.
That's an interesting statement. Did you see her dog? You know what kind of dog hers is?
No, I mean, it's a
Little Schnurdiger,
right.
right? Little one, maybe 5 pounds, maybe 6.
3. 3 pounds.
Okay. You think that if her dog, and then you've got a little Pekingese.
That's Pomeranian.
Pomeranian.
Yeah.
It's got a little Pomeranian. Do you think that if those dogs got out from their fenced yard, like your dog, do you think if they came across your dogs, they could kill it, or both of them? You think they could?
No.
Okay. Let's take it a step further, Mr. Moon, because you're not giving me the answers that I want to hear. So let's take it a step further. Do you think that if Miss Smallwood's two little dogs got out, like your dogs got out, and they came across a toddler playing in their backyard, do you think her two little dogs could kill the toddler?
Probably not.
Could yours?
Probably so.
Probably so. So do you think that you have a greater or a lesser responsibility as the owner of dogs that are capable of killing a human being? You think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time? You want to be a fool and own dogs that are capable of killing, you have to be responsible. Just as if you had a wild tiger, you wouldn't leave it out in the backyard in a fence that it could climb.
And later today,
Is that what they call it, installation?
Yes, ma'am.
Usually refer to furniture as an installation. I never knew that they referred to a wig as installation.
Catherine Smallwood claims her neighbor, Nathan Moon, owes for vet bills from a dog attack.
So you think that you owe a lesser or a greater responsibility to society as a whole to make sure that those dogs are within your control all the time?
Correct. Well, since then,
And
I've gotten,
and what you
I've
told
gotten
me,
rid of- I've gotten rid of both of them now.
I'm still venting, because for those people in the world that decide that dangerous dog breeds, those dog breeds that have been deemed dangerous in every state in the United States, and insurance companies won't insure you if you have certain breeds of dogs, and yours are within that little group of dogs. Most insurance companies, unless you pay a very high premium, exclude injury from those dogs. So you understand that you have animals that are deemed dangerous, and you told me 5 minutes ago that your dogs are able to climb over the fence, and they've done it before this incident. Isn't that what you told me? I mean, I have my reporter here who can read it back. Isn't that what you told me?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you agree with me that your dogs are capable of causing death to a human being, and that your dogs have been able to get out from the enclosure that you prepared for them, then there is no question that you are responsible for any damage that your dogs do to another dog, to a child, to an adult. You want to be a fool and own dogs that are capable of killing, you have to be responsible. Just as if you had a wild tiger, you wouldn't leave it out in the backyard in a fence that it could climb, because if you did, you would be responsible if it ate 3 people. Do you know how many people pit bulls killed last year? They just killed another one in New York. A woman ate her. So you want to be a fool and have a dog like that, you're responsible for any injury it causes.
I also have pictures of the injury.
I'd like to see it. How much were your vet bills, Miss Smallwood?
The vet bill was $1,421.
And I'm going to tell you this, Mr. Moon. So there's no question you're responsible for her vet bills. No question. But because you told me that your dogs had gotten out before and you didn't remedy that situation, I'm tacking on another $1,000, which is what she's requesting. And while it's not for pain and suffering of the dog, because I'm precluded from giving you that kind of an award, it's a deterrence for people who have dogs that can kill, to keep those dogs under their control all the time. And if you don't want to do that, get a Pomeranian. We're done. $2,400. Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
Our dogs weren't on leash or in a fence either.
Well, I'm glad she understood the dangers of pit bulls.
She was just requesting the vet bills.
Glad she seen the case going my way.
I mean, she just wanted the money and said that her dog was injured.
Just hurts my heart still
I wish I could have had more control over my dogs.
to see him, slung around like a rag.
And sorry.
Contain your animals.
Yeah, one thing you picked up on but didn't quite name it was that when he knew his dog was capable of climbing over his own fence that he had enclosed the dogs in, he was on notice from that point forward that his dogs were capable of getting out of the yard. He knew that they had potential to be dangerous dogs, and he chose not to do anything about it. And you can't claim anything was an accident after the point where you were put on notice. So I agreed completely with your judgment.
A, I'm glad you agree with me, and B, I'm glad that the
Sean Rubin is suing his brother, Randall Rubin, for unpaid expenses from their mother's funeral.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Good morning, Judge. Case number 2011, Rubin versus Rubin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rubin, this is your brother,
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
and this case involves sharing expenses for your mother's funeral.
Correct.
And it is your claim that your brother, who I believe was living with your mother at the time she died,
Right.
agreed to pay half of the funeral expenses when he received proceeds from a small life insurance policy that your mother had left.
Yes, Judge. Our mother only left us a $5,000 life insurance policy.
That's what the case is about.
Right.
Your brother's position is it's not his responsibility. He made no such promise. Of course, you do understand that without that promise to pay for your mother's funeral expenses, children aren't normally responsible for the expenses of their parent. You understand that?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Rubin, when did your mother pass away?
She passed away August 20th of 2021.
How old was she?
She was 86.
And how long had you been living with your mother?
Your Honor, I took care of my mother since 1991.
Well, if you were taking care of her for almost 30 years, sir, what kind of physical malady did she have when she was in her 50s?
She suffered from chronic kidney failure,
When did that medical condition develop?
pretty close to 91,
What is pretty close to 91?
beginning in the 90s, 91, 92, etc.
So when you moved in with her, was your mother sick or was she not sick?
She was sick.
Did you live with your mother because it was not only good for your mother, but because it was good for you? That's what I'm
Correct.
trying to get
Yes.
to. The answer is yes.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you moved into your mother's house
Correct.
that she owned or rented?
She was purchasing it through a mortgage.
She owned her home.
Yes, ma'am.
Was
Correct.
she working in the 90s?
She was.
Therefore, she wasn't incapacitated to the extent that you needed full-time care.
At the beginning, no, ma'am.
When you moved in with her, she was employed on a full-time basis,
Correct.
sufficient enough to get a mortgage from a bank based upon her income.
Correct.
And what were you doing in 1991?
I worked.
For whom?
Associates.
For how long?
Off and on from 91 till about 2 years ago.
What does off and on mean?
I had several jobs in between. I sold cars for various car dealerships, and I also owned several businesses.
When you lived with your mother, who paid the mortgage?
My mother did.
Did you pay your mother for any expenses? Rent, gas, electric, phone, anything? Or did you live there and you had an agreement? You lived there, she wanted your company, whatever it was. She lived alone?
At the time, yes.
In 1991, she was just living alone.
Correct.
And I assume, therefore, happy to have your company.
Correct.
I assume. Okay. So you made no payments to your mother?
With the occasional help with some utilities or food, yes.
Okay. So you were able, I assume, to save a substantial amount of money.
Correct.
Just for my own information, so that I can sort of put this thing together.
Sure.
You have stocks, bonds, savings?
No, ma'am.
What do you have? You were able to save a lot of money. How did you invest it?
I invested in several businesses, which one is my liquidation company.
What happened with your mother's house?
When she passed, I was still residing at the house. I paid the mortgage by myself for the months of September 2021 as well as October 2021. and I remained there until, I want to say, February 2022. My sister is the executor of the estate, and she sold it just recently for $465,000.
Okay, so what I'm gathering from you, you paid the mortgage, you say in September and October, then you stopped paying the mortgage November, December, January, and February.
That is correct, ma'am.
But you lived in the house,
I did.
rent-free, because you paid nothing.
Correct.
Where are you living now?
I live in Nogales, Mexico.
And you live in a house, you live in
In an apartment, ma'am.
You pay rent?
I do.
Anybody live with you?
No, ma'am.
What's your rent?
$250.
Okay, and what was the mortgage payment in your mother's house?
I paid $1,750 even.
Are you the sister?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you stand up for a second? I'm just getting some information. Tell me your name.
Shannon Hayes.
Miss Hayes, house was sold recently for $465,000. And what was left on the mortgage?
$258,000 plus a $35,000 third mortgage.
Your Honor, since
Sarah,
her brother was not paying, since he wasn't paying, the house actually went into foreclosure. And so we had to get.
Just to say, I didn't ask you anything.
Okay, I'm just.
Sarah Rose, 465 less 258,
$207,000, Your Honor.
less 35.
172.
Okay, and there are 3 siblings?
And also, Your Honor, there was a $10,000 lien on the property that had to be paid.
So we're down to 162.
Correct.
So it's 162 clear, so a little over $50,000 a person.
She owed the IRS, Your Honor, for back payments in excess of $54,000. She hadn't paid taxes in years.
Did you pay the IRS?
I just did.
And how much did you pay the IRS?
$54,188.
Sarah, from 162, take out 54,000.
$108,000.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. She had Arizona state taxes, $3,000 I paid as well.
105. Is that 105 net?
So we also have the medical bills that I had to take care of.
She had no insurance and she had to have Medicare.
She did, Your Honor. That's her copayment.
Okay, and what was her copayment?
$3,000 in medical.
Let's do a simple $100,000. How much were the funeral expenses?
$2,434.73.
Was the total funeral expense?
Yes.
Well, that's what you're claiming he owes you.
That's his share of the.
I want to know what the entire funeral costs, sir. You'll show me the invoice.
Sure. I do have all the invoices for you. The first one, Your Honor, is just for the cremation.
1058.
Correct.
Okay, 1058.
The next one should be from the cemetery.
This is the total funeral home charges, and this is cremated remains internment of $2,200.
Correct. The next invoice you should have, Your Honor, is from services provided by a rabbi.
Okay, that was $600.
Your Honor, it was actually $700. I paid the rabbi $100 as an honorarium.
No, that's $600. Whatever you want to pay him as an honorarium, that's fine. So the total expenses are $3,858.
You should have another invoice for a proposal for a headstone as well.
1717.
Yes, Your Honor.
3858 plus $1,717.
$5,575.
That's it. Okay. I assume your mother died without a will.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And you are the only surviving siblings?
Yes, Your Honor.
The estate will be divided into 3 parts.
Correct.
So each one of you will get about $33,000 from the estate after all of the expenses have been paid.
There's also the real estate commission fees that we didn't mention to subtract from the net income.
And what were the real estate commission fees?
$30,000.
Oh, yeah, that's a substantial amount.
Yes, Your Honor.
So 108 less 30, $78,000. So now you're down to $25,000 each.
That's correct, Your Honor.
What I'm trying to figure out is, even giving you all those expenses that you paid, your mother's estate, absent this $5,000 life insurance policy that there was, correct? And you got a share of that life insurance policy. How much? Yes, the answer is yes. How much did you receive?
$2,500 even.
Okay, $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get a share of that life insurance policy?
No, Your Honor.
Did you?
Yes, Your Honor. I also received $2,500.
Great. And the estate had net, after everything, at least $75,000 divided by 3, which is $25,000 apiece after you pay all expenses, which in this case would have been funeral expenses. Do you understand where I'm coming from, sir?
I do.
I have children and grandchildren. 10 years is a long time. That's a grandchild. She didn't see me at least once a month. She better keep her fingers crossed that I don't change my will.
Sean Rubin is suing his brother, Randall Rubin, for unpaid funeral expenses. Randall is countersuing, claiming Sean defamed him.
So now, if what you're asking me, Mr. Rubin, is to find that you had an agreement with your brother to pay 1/3 of the funeral expenses because the two of you each paid 1/3 of the funeral expenses, is that what you did?
Well, Your Honor,
that's either a yes or a no.
It is a no. I'm the only one that had the money to process our mother. He would not even sign to get her processed to continue the cremation. I have evidence here I'd like to submit to you where he agreed to pay me half of it out of his life insurance.
Okay, that's all.
I have text from him.
Just a second. I'm going to take a look at it. You have to understand, Mr. Rubin,
Yes.
that at this point, if I find that he agreed to pay for half, then you understand that you agreed to pay for half of her funeral. Ordinarily, the funeral expenses, you may front the money for those funeral expenses, but if the deceased had sufficient money in their estate to cover their last expenses, and those would be medical expenses, which you paid out of the estate, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Taxes, which you paid out of the estate.
Yes, Your Honor.
You paid out of the estate after you sold the house, broker's fees. State tax fees, along with those kinds of fees, would be funeral expenses. Now, if the two of you agreed, or the two brothers agreed, which is what you're saying, that he agreed to pay half, not 1/3, but he agreed to pay half of the funeral expenses for which you are not being reimbursed by the estate. Do you understand?
Correct. I have not received anything from the estate, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, this would be you. I'll let you know tomorrow. I think it's $2,200 for Menorah Gardens, and cremation was $1,053, so it's $1,626 each. That would be you, right?
Yes.
Okay, 1,626, because you asked him how much you owed, right?
I did.
So I assume since you asked him how much you owed, you had some sort of an arrangement with him to pay 1/3, because it does say 1/3 of the funeral expenses.
That is correct.
Okay, great.
I do want to interject, Your Honor, and let you know that when I did receive my monies, the $2,500 from her life insurance, we had communicated with one another that I had some emergency dental work that needed to be done. It was life-threatening. And therefore, he said, I don't have the email because I had to block him. I have a restraining order against him. So I lost all my emails between us.
Listen,
However,
nobody ever has their emails here or a video.
A very substantial amount of those monies went for my dental.
I don't care. How old are you?
59, ma'am.
You have lived rent-free for 30 years. And according to you, you had businesses. You worked most of that time, either selling cars or on and off for a company for 30 years. You made an agreement with your brother to pay 1/3 of your mother's funeral expenses. And as far as I'm concerned, if you had dental problems, pay for it from the resources of one of your businesses, because you had no expenses. You have very little sympathy for you. You lived in the house for months without paying the mortgage. That's outrageous. That's taking money away from them. Do you understand that?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
say you lived in the house for 3 months rent-free, at least 3 months rent-free. So if you paid mortgage payments for 2 months, I would say to you, sounds pretty reasonable to me. You know, there's a story that's created.
Correct.
And what's created here is there's unequivocal information in these text messages that you and your brother and sister, because You, sir, are claiming that he owes half. He doesn't owe half. That was never the agreement, according to what you gave me. According to what you gave me, and in your own hand, you say this is what you owe me, $1,600, not $2,600.
Well, Your Honor, if I can explain, the reason why I said half is only me and my brother were included in the life insurance policy. My sister was not named on it, and it was only for $5,000, so...
Sir, listen carefully to me.
I mean, if we put our money together, we could have paid for it.
Listen carefully to me. That has nothing to do with you.
Exactly. The same with his dental has
proceeds of
nothing
your
to do with
mother's
me.
final resting should have come out of the estate. That way, it would have been borne equally between the three people who will profit from the estate. You understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Very good. So if you understand that, the math is simple. If he pays a third, you get your sister to kick in whatever she's getting back from the $25,000, and everybody is equal.
Well, Your Honor, I mean, you're already getting the vibe that this guy's the biggest bum who lived off his mother, sponged off of his mother.
Let me explain something to you. That is unnecessary here. Unnecessary and really quite stupid. Stupid. You handed me evidence, sir, that you made an agreement with him. He asked you what he owed. You told him.
Yes.
$1,600. That's what you told him, that he owes you, $1,600.
That's correct.
And each of you are getting a certain amount of money for nothing from your mother. I'm going to ask you some questions. Prior to her death, when was the last time you saw her? When was the last time you saw your mother? Month and year?
I honestly do not recall, Your Honor.
Okay, just a second. Was it in the decade that she died?
Yes.
Okay, well, she died in 2021. So when did you see her?
Probably several years before that, Your Honor.
Well, so you didn't see her in the decade before?
Your Honor, you have to understand, her house was infested with bed bugs.
Pay careful attention to me. I asked you some questions.
Yes.
My question was, when was the last time you saw your mother? So you hadn't seen your mother in a decade. When was the last time you saw your mother?
I saw my mother frequently, Your Honor. It was May, Mother's Day.
Okay, Mother's Day of
2021.
And Your Honor, I did...
Shh, I'm not speaking to you. March of 2021. Prior to that, when did you see your mother?
November 2021.
Wait a minute. How could you see her in November 2021 if she passed in August of 2021?
November 2020.
Okay, May 2021, November of 2020. Prior to that, when did you see your mother?
I saw her frequently because...
No, not frequently. Month and year.
I don't have the...
Did you see her every month?
No, Your Honor.
Did you see her every 2 months?
About that, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, between May and November, that's more than 2 months. Mm-hmm. That's what you can remember.
Yes, Your Honor.
So it would be fair to say that whether he took great care of her and whether the house was clean or dirty or anything else, your 86-year-old mother lived with your brother, whether you like him or not, and you were totally disinterested in her. You're the one who started this, sir. I was about ready to finish this case, but when you say he's a bum, I say, you know what? This guy's got to be put in his place. He may have been, but he was the bum who took care of your mother. You started it.
Sean Rubin is accusing his brother, Randall Rubin, of not paying his share of funeral expenses. Randall claims Sean spread multiple lies about him.
So it would be fair to say that whether he took great care of her and whether the house was clean or dirty or anything else, your 86-year-old mother lived with your brother, whether you like him or not, and you were totally disinterested in her.
Well, that's not true, Your Honor.
Well, I want to know if you didn't see your mother in a decade, and she had failing health, I would say, as a child, you were totally disinterested in her.
I did visit my mother after she had kidney replacement or kidney surgery. I visited her after her surgery. We both did.
Just a second. Do you understand where I'm coming from, sir?
I do.
I have children and grandchildren, right?
Sure.
10 years is a long time. That's a grandchild. If she didn't see me at least once a month, she better keep her fingers crossed that I don't change my will.
Well, Your Honor, I'm sure that Sarah is very close to you, where we live out of state.
Just a second.
We both have real jobs.
Just a second. If her father didn't visit me at least once a month, and we live in different states, he too would check the will. So what I'm telling you is, if you don't see your mother for 10 years, you are a disinterested child. You're the one who started this, or I was about ready to finish this case, but when you say he's a bum, I say, you know what? This guy's got to be put in his place. He may have been, but he was the bum who took care of your mother.
No,
No.
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, really? Did your mother have full-time nursing care for the last 10 years?
I
The
requested
answer is
that.
either yes or no.
It's an absolute
She
no.
declined.
That's not what I asked you. Not what she declined. Did she have full-time nursing care? That's a yes or a no?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so if she didn't have full-time nursing care and she was in poor health because, based upon your blurted-out answer to me, you thought she should have full-time care.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, but she didn't. So he took care of her. You don't like the way he took care of her. That's your prerogative, but you let him take care of her. And you went about your business in your own states where you live, and he took care of her. And you didn't like him, and he may have been a sponge and a bum. You started it. But you were not interested enough in your mother to move next door to her or to have her move next door to you when she got sick.
Your Honor.
Somebody else
I actually did ask her to move in with me, and she declined.
Right. She didn't want to live
didn't
with
wanna
you.
leave.
There had to be a reason for that
There
if she
is.
was being abused.
Your Honor, there is.
Unless, do I look like I need help from you?
No, of course not.
Then I want you to be quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
You owe him $1,600. That's it, not $26, what he's
I have a
asking you.
counterclaim.
Put it down.
I have a counterclaim.
$1,600, and I'll hear your counterclaim.
Thank you, Your
Which
Honor.
sounds a little ridiculous to me. I'm finished with you. $1,600, that's what you owe, except for the counterclaim, which I'll hear. Well, the counterclaim is that they posted something on the internet that says that there were bugs in the shoes you were selling. If that's, just a second, quiet. Your counterclaim says that he defamed you and your business because he wrote on the internet that there were bugs in the shoes you were selling. I couldn't make that up. Let me see. Maybe I did
You're
make it up.
correct. That's
Yeah,
exactly what
he
he
posted that
wrote.
there were bugs in the shoes I was selling.
He also put that I impregnate Hispanic women.
Oh, just a second. First of all, that's not in here.
It's right here, ma'am.
It's not in my answer. So I want to see where he wrote. And who knows what you're doing in Mexico? I have no idea what you're doing in Mexico. Show me what he wrote about the bugs in the shoes that you're selling. Giving me a whole lot of nonsense there that I'm not going to read.
It's not.
You
These
give
are-
me-
These are the posts that he put online.
I
These
only
are
want
also-
to he-
These are also letters from my mother in her own.
I'm not reading the letters from your mother.
Okay.
I'm reading a post or more where he says there are bugs in the shoes you are selling.
Yes.
Period.
Do you want to hear the audio that he sent to one of my employers?
No, I want to see where he wrote there are bugs in the shoes you are selling, which is what's in my answer.
Right here, ma'am.
May I have it, please?
And I do have a restraining order on him as well.
I'm not interested in your restraining order. Okay, so this has nothing to do with anything. I'm going to give this back to you, and if you don't hand me exactly what I asked for, I'm
It's in the-
dismissing.
it's
I'm
in-
not reading all that drivel. I asked you for one post.
Your Honor, if you'd like to say
I don't
something-
want to hear you.
This is what I wrote.
I
if you want to
don't
see it.
want. This is not your case to prove, sir.
Okay. I'm just trying to be honest.
Here you go, Your Honor. This is one that he
Thank you.
wrote
Don't
to
tell
my
me
employer.
one. Just give me the posts about shoes. This has nothing to do with
It's
shoes.
too. This one is in
Well,
Spanish.
if you show me one more thing that doesn't say bugs and shoes, I'm just dismissing your case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Please look at this one. It is in Spanish.
No, that's your problem. The counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very pleased with the judge's decision. I think she made the right decision.
I wasn't really thrilled.
I'm just kind of glad it's over. I never want to see my brother again.
We're a very estranged bunch of people. We do not like each other.
She didn't raise him right. She raised us right, and we're going to do the right thing on behalf of our mom.
First and foremost, I will visit you every month, every week, every day, if that's what it takes. But in all seriousness, this case shows how foolish it is not to memorialize your wishes for the end, because it creates a heightened sense of stress at a time when emotions are already running high. And first rule of wills, trusts, and estates class is always have a will. So it doesn't matter how much you have, how little you have. It's important, your wishes, and to prevent situations like this, your loved ones having to go through.
Yeah, and be angry with each other. I mean, they don't love each other anyway, but to be angry with each other, if you can avoid that. Even young people, Sarah, who have put anything together. Yeah. You have a will?
I do.
There you go.
I wouldn't want my loved ones going through that. So, yeah, you have to take the time and write it down. And yeah, that's really all you can do to avoid the situation.
You're right.
Are you having a family dispute? Go to judyjustice.tv. Hunter Pelletier is suing his former friend, Alexandria Allen, for a washer and dryer.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2043, Pelletier versus Allen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This young lady is a friend of yours.
A former friend, correct.
How friend?
I met her from another mutual friend that I had, and we just formed a relationship together, just a friendship.
Are you married?
I'm not, I'm single.
Any kids?
No.
And what about the defendant?
She does have 2 kids, and she is married.
Currently?
Yes, currently married.
Are you also friendly with her husband?
Yeah, just friends. We were, yeah, before all this took place.
So that all of you were friends?
Yes, at one point, yes.
Case is relatively simple. Miss Allen's washer and dryer stopped working.
Correct.
You had done some odds and ends things for her in the past.
Yes, worked on her car and stuff.
And did you find or did she find the used washer and dryer?
She asked me for recommendations, and she found it on the selling app for used items.
So you told her where she might look for it?
Correct.
And she found it on an app online?
Correct.
Okay.
No, actually...
Look at me.
Okay. He made the recommendation to me.
Did you go on the app yourself?
No, I did not.
So you never saw the washer and dryer?
Well,
is that what you're... Just a second. So what you're saying, I just want to be clear. So I said, if you didn't go on the site, then you never saw the washer and dryer.
May I speak now?
Either you did go on the site and see it, or I didn't go on the site. I didn't see it.
He sent the picture of them to me, just a screenshot. That's all I got.
Okay. How old are you?
32.
You have 2 children?
Yes.
Did the screenshot show you where they came from?
I have a photo of them, and it doesn't say anything.
So is what you're telling me you didn't know where they came from?
Well, there is a name of the site. Would you like to know that?
I want to know if you knew it.
Yes, I know.
All right. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. You knew the site where the photo came from. So let's say you are correct, and I don't know. You said you needed a washer and dryer. You say he found the washer and dryer on a site, sent a photo to you and said, is this what you're looking for?
Correct.
Right? And on that screenshot was the site.
Right.
So you had at least access to the same site that he did.
That's correct.
And did the site give you the name of the person or persons to contact with regard to the washer dryer?
There was no one's name, just a phone number.
Did you call a phone number?
I didn't call them.
Who called them?
Mr. Pelletier.
Now, Mr. Pelletier didn't call them unless you said they looked fine.
Well, I did say they looked fine.
Well, what else did you say?
Based on the picture, they looked...
Just a second. Just answer my question.
Okay.
Because what happened here is really relatively simple. Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether you're a simple person, but it's relatively simple. You had a friend. You told him I needed a washer and dryer. Mine broke down. He said, this is a great site. According to you, I'll look up, and he looked up the washer and dryer, and you did nothing. You, who needed the washer and dryer, you must work very hard. How many jobs do you have?
I have a couple of jobs. My children are a big job, for one, and 2, I'm a full-time university student, so I am busy.
So you should be able to get a washer and dryer by yourself. You farmed that job out to him.
I did because he volunteered to help.
Doesn't matter. He didn't volunteer to help unless you told him I need help. I mean, as what it is, are you using him? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't.
I'm not sure. What do you do for him?
I watched his cats. when he went out on a vacation with his grandmother, and I took care of his cats free of charge because, well,
For how long?
I didn't expect him to be gone that long either. It was over a week, and I had to buy the cats food.
So, just a second. So you watched his cats?
Yes.
And is what you believed that him taking care of getting this washing machine payment for taking care of the cats?
Well, not just that. There's other things that happened while he was installing the washer and dryer.
I don't care about things that... What I'm asking you is I'm trying to figure out what kind of person says to a friend, I need a washer and dryer. He says, as a friend, I'll see if I can help you. You have time. You also go on the computer and figure it out. Being a full-time student is nice. That's what you chose. Somehow, you also support yourself and your 2 children. I don't even want to go into how that's done. However, you said, go get the washer and dryer. And he went, how long?
It's 50 miles from my house, an hour and 45 minutes.
Each way to pick up the washer and dryer that you authorized him to get. You said, go get it. It was $1,800.
Correct. And she offered $200 tip for the delivery of that.
For you?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Okay.
And I have texts of
That's
that.
reasonable because you spent 3.5 hours in the car. Now, do they live on the 1st floor?
The 3rd floor.
3rd floor. Is it a walk up?
Yeah, it's stairway up to the 3rd floor.
So somebody had to go up and take the old washer dryer out. So, Miss Allen, was that you or your husband?
Mr. Pelletier also removed them.
No, you can move your mouth. It's okay if you move.
No,
it's okay if you move your mouth.
I feel like I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cows.
I'm telling you,
cats.
I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like.
And later today.
When we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had. So between that time and the time where he ended up taking the car back, I don't really know how there was $600 worth of tolls.
I don't know either, but that's what I'm going to find out.
Hunter Pelletier claims his former friend, Alexandria Allen, is responsible for the cost of a washer and dryer.
The plaintiff walked up the 3 flights of steps, carried each of the washer and dryers downstairs, took the washer and dryers from downstairs up the 3 flights, got them installed, and you didn't like them. They were a different color.
And they're busted up. They don't even work properly.
Okay. Miss Allen, when did this happen? In what month?
January 7th of 2022.
You have receipts for different washers and dryers that you purchased since January of 2022?
I did not have the receipts, no.
That means that you didn't purchase them.
Well, I never paid him for them.
No. That means that you never purchased new ones. That means that you're still using the ones he bought.
Correct. But
right.
It did not work well.
You bought used washer and dryer. You've been using them January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 8 months, and you're still using them. And you neither paid for them, nor did you pay him for delivery. And I don't know what your excuse is.
I feel like
I don't care what you feel like. I don't care what you feel like. You made a contract with him to go and pick up washers and dryers, disconnect yours, take them out of your house, install these, lay out the money to pay for these, use them for 8 months, and not pay them because you weren't happy with them.
I feel like I was being very kind because I didn't decide to sue him for his cat or the damages he did to the cows.
I'm telling you, you should stay in school. How much did you pay for the washer and dryer?
$1,800, and I took the money out of the bank. She had asked me because her ATM has a low limit, so I went into the branch of my own bank.
That's what you're suing for $1,800?
Yeah, I wanted to get the $200 if possible, but at this point, I just want the money for the machines.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. $1,800.
Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
It damaged the walls of my apartment. They banged it up.
She saw right through everything, the damages, she said.
The machines were overpriced.
None of that happened from me. I'm not a professional installer.
I don't think he cared because it wasn't his money.
At the time, they were less than 6 months old from original purchase date, so they were still worth the money that they were asking.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to be friends anymore.
I don't need friends like that, no.
So this case touched a little upon agency, like an agent-principal relationship, where here the plaintiff was actively acting as her agent by going and picking up these washing machines for her. They had had communications beforehand about this is what they look like, this is what they cost, I'll do it for you for $200. Is this what you want to do? She says yes. You don't get to just then back out of it because you don't like the color. You knew what they look like. You knew they were used. There was no bait and switch. I was almost waiting for an explanation, for a bait and switch, he put the nice ones in his house and then gave me not so nice ones. But there was nothing. There was very rarely do we see no excuse for.
And she's using them.
Yeah, still for almost a year.
They're all banged up. They were all banged up. Well, that's what happens when you buy something that's used. Mm-hmm. When you buy something over the internet, which is really what she did, she could have just as easily said to him, before you load them in the truck, please take pictures of them so that I see them.
Yes, she could have.
So she could have. Did nothing.
That's not his fault.
It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Also allowed him to take the other stuff down, put the other stuff up, and then say, well, they were banged up.
$200 to move 4 heavy machines is a low price as far as I'm concerned.
Not a friend anymore.
Yeah.
Case number 2017, Alvarez versus Coover. All parties, please step forward.
Avery Alvarez is suing his former friend, Brianna Coover, for toll charges.
Mr. Alvarez, this is not a very difficult case. It's a question of dates. You bought a new car.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew the defendant somehow through her boyfriend or?
He's my cousin.
Okay, so you purchased a new car. You had an older car that you were still paying off. And Miss Culver needed a car, and you made an arrangement with her where she would take over the monthly payments on your old car, so that you would just be paying your new car, and when she finished making the payments on the car would be hers.
That's correct.
You did, in fact, conclude that agreement, and Miss Coover did, in fact, pay off the car.
Yes, ma'am.
She paid off the car. However, she did not register the car in her name.
That's correct.
And you had your plates on the car, and it is your claim that while the car was in her possession, she racked up $600 and some odd in toll fees.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which is what you're suing for.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Culver said that didn't happen. She had her own Easy Pass, toll pass, whatever it is. And there was no way that those tickets were incurred while she was in possession of the car. And additionally, she's got some very sad story. She paid off the car. She didn't register it for some reason. She didn't register it, which I don't have to get into. You took the car back because you were afraid that your plates were on the car, and you started to get these dunning notices for tickets. Then you had to give the car back because you had given her the title to the car when she finished paying off the car, despite the fact she hadn't registered it. And then you took the license plates back, which is a very smart thing to do, because then she couldn't use them to get through the tolls. And because you took the plates off and she didn't register it and get new plates, it was towed from her parking space at her condo, taken to a lot where she didn't have enough money to get the car out, and the car was auctioned off, and now she has no car. And you have $600 worth of tickets in your name.
Yes, ma'am. You got it.
Is that it?
That is a version of the story, yes.
Well, I will let you tell me a different version.
Everything is true thus far. We did have the agreement where he wanted a new car, I needed a car.
No, I got that. I just want to know what I said that was incorrect. I just made it shorter.
Just to clarify, when we went to transfer the title over together at the DMV, I had to pay off whatever tolls that I had before they're able to transfer the title over. So that was done. So between that time and the time where he ended up taking the car back, I don't really know how there was $600 worth of tolls.
I don't know either. That's what I'm going to find out. But is there any part of the story that I just told that was inaccurate? He transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Other than you, who drove the car? Come on, that's a question. And other than you, who drove the car?
Nobody.
No. Who drove your car?
Avery Alvarez claims his former friend, Brianna Coover, owes for toll charges. Brianna says she already paid for the toll charges.
He says that You had possession of the car. He got notification that there were tickets. You say that you didn't go through tolls. He said, I didn't have possession of the car. Is there anything that is incorrect about that? So it's just a question of dates. It's not a difficult case. It's a question of dates.
Correct.
Okay, so give me the date that you made this arrangement to pay off the car.
I don't know the exact date.
What? Took over the car payments starting July 2019.
And when was it paid off?
May 16th, 2021.
When it was paid off, did you sign the title over to her and the lien holder did?
Going back and forth at that time, I was trying to get her to come over to where I live so we could go to get the car transferred. We ultimately settled on a date, and then the DMV over there said that she had to have a sheriff verify the VIN and the odometer before we could transfer it over. I guess it's a rule in the county. So at that moment, then yes, we signed it over to her so she could do it at her local DMV.
And that was on what date?
That was July 9th.
Now, between July of 2018 and July of 2021, did you ever drive that car?
No, ma'am.
When did you initially take the car back from her?
I took the car back September 11th of 2021.
And how long did you have the car when you took it back because of these tickets?
I texted her on September 15th and told her that she could go pick the car up because I had found out that I
couldn't do that.
Exactly.
It was self-help for that.
Correct.
Okay, so you had the car between September 11th and September 15th.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than that period of time, did you ever drive the car from July 18th until the present time?
No, ma'am.
So if there were any tickets that were accrued, it was either by the defendant or somebody who drove the car with defendant's permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the dates of the tickets. Ms. Coover, you don't question the fact that between July 2018 and today's date, with the exception of between September 11th and the 15th of 2021, he did not have possession of the car.
Correct. The only reason that when we transferred the title over, we had an agreement.
Just a second. That's all I asked you. This is not a conversation. I just want to know who got the tickets. Whoever got the tickets is responsible for them. Mm-hmm. So he only had the car, so if there are any tickets there that were between September 11th and September 15th in 2021, they belong to him. Any other tickets from 2018 July until infinity are yours. Well, we have invoice date is 7/28/21. That would be you.
Correct.
June 30th, 2021, 7/1/2021, 7/2/2021, again 7/2, 7/3, 7/6, 7/6, 7/7, 7/8, 7/8, 7/22, and 7/28 of 2021. Those are all you.
Correct.
August 28th. 2021. That would be you.
Yes.
3, 3, 6, 9, 19, 28 of 2021. August. That all would be you.
Yes. I never argued that that wasn't me. I'm just, from the moment that we officially transferred the title over, we were not able to transfer the title over until I paid.
Oh, just show, you paid these?
And we were together.
Now, just a second. Show me that you paid them.
I have this receipt.
Just show me that you paid them, that's it.
And that would have been what was due at the time when we transferred the title over.
I'm just going by the dates of the tickets, madam. I don't care how the government screws up, that's not my problem. Okay, show me your payment. May I see it, please?
It should say the date there and the cost of those tolls on the day.
This is your SunPass. You replenished your SunPass.
That's a payment to SunPass.
For $154.
And that's what it was on the day that we transferred the title over. So my thing is, from the day that we transferred the title over to the day that he came to my parents' house and took the car, there was no way that I racked up $600 in tolls.
I don't know whether you did or didn't. Then take that up with Department of Motor Vehicles. That's what they say you racked up between that period of time. He didn't have possession of the car. You had possession of the car from the time he transferred over the car to you. You had possession of the car. He didn't.
Correct.
Well, other than you, who drove the car? Come on, that's a question. And other than you, who drove the car?
Nobody.
No. He never drove your car.
No.
Who drove your car?
I did.
Who else?
Nobody.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $654. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Quick and simple case. She did what she needed to do.
I can't really say I'm super surprised, I guess.
I was just asking for payment on the tolls and I wasn't getting any responses.
I don't know how in literally 3 months I didn't rack up $600 in tolls.
It is what it is.
He was okay with me continuing to use his
Take my license plate with me.
license plate until one day he wasn't, and then he wanted all that money.
So, what would be your takeaway from that?
I think as a layperson, my takeaway would be if you're going to sell a car, especially to someone you don't know well, it's not a family member, it's, either a stranger or acquaintance, take your own plates off the car. Get a receipt, bring it to DMV, because your name, your address, your phone number will be tied to tickets, SunPass charges, and even maybe an accident. You just don't want your name associated with the vehicle anymore once you relinquish your ownership of it. So
That's
take your
the takeaway.
plates.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Paulina Cardozo is suing Norma Jimenez and her 17-year-old son, Christopher Espinoza, for damages resulting from a car crash.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2054, Cardozo versus Jimenez Espinoza.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cardozo, it is your claim that the defendants are responsible for an automobile accident.
Yes.
That both totaled your car and injured you and your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did this accident happen? What date?
On May 6th, Friday, 2022.
What time of the day?
It was around 7:10, 7:20 a.m.
Where were you going?
I was going to drop off my son to his babysitter.
Then where were you going?
At work.
Is that your regular route?
Yeah.
Your last name is?
Espinoza,
How old are you?
17.
You were driving that morning?
Yeah.
Yes, not an answer.
Yes.
Yes is an answer. Who was in the car with you?
My little sister,
How old is she?
11.
Do you have a driver's license?
Now I do, yeah.
Did you, on May 6th, have a driver's license?
No.
I assume you were taking your sister to school,
Yes.
and then you were taking yourself to school.
Yes.
This was in May. How long had you been driving your sister to school?
6 months.
Where was your mother?
At work.
Did you drop her off at work first?
No.
How does she get to work?
Her own car.
Who owns the car that you were driving?
My mom.
So your mom has 2 cars.
Yes.
What other adults live in your house?
Just my mom.
Your mother,
Yes.
your sister,
Yeah.
and you.
Yeah.
When was the car purchased that you were driving with your sister?
It was a gift.
Who was it a gift to?
Me.
Whose name is it in?
My mom's.
When did you get it? Month and year. Don't speak to him. When did you get it?
January.
January of 2022.
Yes.
So that's why you had been driving your sister for 6 months.
Yes.
The car is in your name?
Yes, Your Honor.
You know that he has no right to drive a car.
He had a driver's permit.
I don't care if he had a permit. You know he has no right to drive a car with a minor in the car.
Well, he took some classes, and we were told by the instructor.
No, don't tell me what you were told by the instructor, madam. Your insurance company disclaimed on this if you had insurance because he's not allowed to drive a car. Is that correct?
Yes.
What insurance carrier do you have on your car?
AAA.
Who insures the car that he was driving?
AAA.
On your name?
Yes.
When he had this accident, the insurance company, AAA, disclaimed on the accident because he was driving the car.
Yes.
Did they drop you from your policy? Did they drop your policy?
No.
Did they raise your rates?
No, because I was changing insurance at that time when the accident happened.
So you had no insurance?
We had insurance.
Just look at me. On the 6th of May, do you have proof that there was insurance on the car that he was driving?
Yes, Your Honor.
What carrier?
AAA.
And when did you change carriers?
It was May 5th,
but it wasn't going to be affected until the following week.
So you had no insurance?
I hadn't called AAA to let them know that I was changing insurance at that time.
Again, I don't believe.
I was changing.
Just a second. You have to understand, madam, that to make your life more comfortable so that you could go to work and your little girl could get to school, you let an unlicensed driver drive a car. You have to understand that because he could have killed her and the child. It's outrageous that you let your 17-year-old who didn't have a license drive your 11-year-old daughter, put him in a place where they were in harm's way. You're just very lucky that both of them weren't hurt. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you think I'm being harsh, sir, I watched you when you walked in. You thought this whole thing was a joke. You came in smiling. It's not a smiling thing. You did the wrong thing, and if you start doing the wrong thing when you're 17 years old, when you're 27 years old, your mother will come visit you someplace where you don't want to be. Do you understand?
I smile when I'm nervous.
Excuse me?
I smile when I'm nervous.
You smile when you're nervous. Yeah. Well, your mother smiles when she's nervous, too, because she was smiling, too.
Yeah.
When you walked in here. What, you're not smiling now. You mean you're not nervous now? You're not smiling now. Now you're not nervous. Now I would be nervous. If I were you, I would be nervous. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me what happened 7:30 in the morning on the 6th of May, which was a school day and a work day.
Okay, yes, Your Honor. So I was driving straight like normal on East on Pleasant Valley. And as I was going on a green light into my intersection.
Do you have a photograph? Do you have any?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
And May 6th was a Friday, just so you know. May 6th was a Friday.
Yeah. Thanks. Your car is the red car?
Yes, Your Honor.
This doesn't tell me anything, actually. It just shows your car totally destroyed. Do you have a police report?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see a police report.
Yeah, and I'll put it so she can kind of see my car, his car.
This is the diagram that the police prepared.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were going straight?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he was making a left turn?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were through the intersection?
Yes.
Looks as if you were through the intersection.
About to be. It was like in the middle of the intersection.
What kind of citations were you issued, sir?
Just without a license.
What?
Without a license.
Okay. I'm just letting you know, Ms. Jimenez, the plaintiff had visible injuries that the police noted. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The airbags went off?
All of them, Your Honor.
Other than the marks that you had on you as a result of the seatbelts and the airbags going off, did you have any other injuries?
So that was actually my son.
That was your son?
Yeah, that was my son because of the seatbelts. Mine were both of my arms because when the airbags deployed, it crushed all my side. So both my arms were bleeding.
You were making a left turn?
Yeah.
She was going straight?
Yes.
You had a green light, but she was going straight and she had a green light. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That means you can't left turn. If she's going straight, that means she's got a green light. That's what it was. And you have to wait until she goes before you make a left turn.
Yeah.
Were they at the scene at the same time at any time?
No.
When your mother says that she asked Miss Cardoza, are you okay? That wasn't true.
No.
Was it true or it wasn't true?
And later today.
You have no proof here of anything. So I'm asking you, you want nothing or do you want your car back?
I want your $10,000.
I'd rather have my car back than nothing.
And I'm sorry.
Paulina Cardozo claims Norma Jimenez and her 17-year-old son, Christopher Espinoza, owe for damages resulting from a car crash.
Okay. Now, when you got there, you started to yell at her. You want to tell me why? You want to tell me why you were yelling at her?
I didn't even yell at her. I got to the place, and then there was somebody waiting for me and told me that she had just hit them, like the person that there was a witness.
You can't tell me. Yeah.
There was somebody
he hit her.
Well, there was somebody that saw the accident, but that person unfortunately couldn't be here.
Okay.
But
I'm asking you why you were yelling at her. Did you have a conversation with her?
I never had a conversation with her. I just asked her, "Are you okay?" And then she said, "They're taking my son to the hospital." That's all she said. And when I got there, the firefighter told me.
No, don't tell me what anybody
Okay.
told you, madam. Don't tell me what anybody told you. You called your mother?
Yes.
You used your cell phone?
No.
How did you call her?
My sister.
You used your sister's?
Yes.
And she came right over?
Yes.
Miss Cardoza was there when your mother got there?
Yes.
You want to answer me? Did your mother and Miss Cardoza, were they at the scene at the same time at any time?
No.
Before she was taken to the hospital?
No.
When your mother says that she asked Miss Cardoza, "Are you okay?" that wasn't true.
No.
Was it true or it wasn't true?
It was true.
It was true, so that how did she communicate with Miss Cardoza if she didn't ask her, if she wasn't there? I'm going to ask you again. Was your mother at the scene when Miss Cardoza was also at the scene?
Yes.
And did you tell your mother that the accident was Miss Cardoza's fault?
No.
What did you tell your mother?
That we got in a car accident.
She didn't ask you what happened? Come on.
Yes.
Come on. Your mother asked you what happened.
Yeah.
And what did you tell her?
What happened?
Well, let me hear what you told your mother happened.
I was going in East Pleasant Valley Road. I put my left turn signal to go to the left turn lane.
You were in the left turn lane?
Yes.
And?
I waited to turn and turn.
And?
I was there and she swerved in and hit me.
She what?
She swerved in and hit me.
She swerved and hit you while you were making a left turn. She
Yes.
swerved into you. That's what you told your mother?
Yes.
Yeah. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like she was very fair.
To my understanding, what they have told me is like he was allowed to drive.
It's been a hardship for us.
And that's why I let him drive.
I was scared. I didn't know if he had broken something or something worse.
I only asked her, "Are you guys okay? Like, what happened?" Somebody told me that it was you that hit them.
Till this day, it's haunting. My son doesn't like to get in the car anymore, so it's straining.
He wasn't even cited for the accident. He was cited for not having a license.
I think she thought it was my fault, and I feel like she still thinks it's my fault, but it was not my fault.
She was the one that hit him.
You need to have insurance, and you need to know how to drive.
I'm glad it's over.
This is a public service announcement to the governor of the state of California. Do everybody a favor. Propose legislation that mandates that if you drive without a license as an underage driver and you're caught and or have an accident, you are ineligible to get a driver's license until you're 25 years old. That would probably be a deterrent for some people. Something is wrong with the system. Those are my words for the day.
Case number 2061, Laura versus Burke. All parties, please step forward.
Michael Lara is suing car seller Donald Burke for a vintage car title.
Mr. Lara,
Yes, Your Honor.
you had a truck,
Yes.
and that truck was a 2007
Yes, Your Honor.
Nissan Frontier.
Correct.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in 2019
From whom?
from a private owner. I don't have his name, but I purchased it over on an auto app.
So you found it online?
Yeah.
So it's still online. How much did you pay for the car in 2019?
In 2010, I paid $10,000.
I don't believe that. Let's try it one more time, Mr. Lara. Exactly how much did you pay for the car in 2019?
$10,000, Your Honor.
Show me a bill of sale.
I don't have that bill of sale from back then.
Okay.
I have only the title that I had.
Okay. Let's assume for the moment that that's almost accurate because the truck is now worth
somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000.
So that would be a depreciation. So now it's worth $8,000.
Okay.
You decided to sell it.
Correct. To trade it.
And you put an ad online to sell it?
Yes, I did.
You, Mr. Burke, had a 1947 classic Chrysler sedan.
Yes.
When did you get that?
Beginning of the year,
Beginning of
22.
And where did you get it from?
A car dealer had it for sale.
Car dealer where?
Montclair, California.
You remember the name of the car dealer?
No, ma'am, I don't.
But it was the beginning of 2022.
Yes.
And was it an ad online?
No, I was driving by and saw the car. I kind of liked the way it looked.
How much did you pay for it?
$12,500.
Do you have a bill of sale?
No,
That was just this year. Why don't you have a bill of sale?
I have the registration and title.
I don't need the registration and title. I need a bill of sale.
I don't have one.
Difference when you buy it from a private party, but if you buy, do you have, it was the beginning of January. How did you pay for the car?
Cash.
Cash. Do you have a withdrawal from your bank of $12,500 to show me?
No, I don't.
Well, how do you expect me to decide this case? You have a claim, you have a counterclaim. Nobody has any proof. How do you expect me to decide? Each of you is suing the other for $10,000 without any proof of anything. How do you expect me to decide that?
Correct, Your Honor.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
You have the title. You have the keys. You have the truck. Understand this. Neither one of you are leaving here with a penny. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
No, I don't.
Michael Lara claims car seller Donald Burke owes him the title to a vintage car. Donald is countersuing, claiming Michael broke their agreement.
Okay. Do you have a car now?
Yes, I have a 2001 GMC truck.
No. You have his car?
Oh, yes, I have his car, yes.
You
Your Honor.
have his car?
Yes.
And you have his truck?
Yes.
What do you want me to do?
I wasn't the one that started this.
Okay, Your Honor.
He doesn't have the title.
Well, he never produced the money that he was supposed to produce.
I have his title to his vehicle. He signed it over to me, and he gave me the keys as well.
Okay. I didn't ask you anything. Well, I want you have the title, you have the keys, you have the truck.
Correct, Your Honor.
My question to you is, you have the title to his car. He paid, let's assume he's correct, that he paid $12,500 for the car in the beginning of 2022. That car, which is a classic car, is now for sale, because I looked it up, I don't remember the numbers, for?
Between $18,000 and $60,000 on the high end of what I've seen.
Okay, so it's worth considerably more than what you paid for it. Roughly $10,000 more than what you paid for it, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You don't know him, do you?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
There would be no reason why he would make you a gift. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you have the title for that car.
Yes.
Because you say, according to you, that he didn't fulfill his promise,
Correct.
his contract, to pay you an additional amount for it. Now, you say he agreed to pay you an additional $10,000 for it.
Yes.
I don't know that because none of it's in writing. Anybody have any proof of that?
No, Your Honor.
No. Good. And you want your car back.
I would just.
You want your car. Well, I'm not giving you $10,000. I want you to just understand that.
Yes.
Because you have no proof here of anything that satisfies me. So I'm asking you, you want nothing or do you want your car back?
I want your $10,000.
I'd rather have my car back than nothing.
You'd rather than have your car back. And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
you have the car.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And you put in some money in the truck.
Yes, the catalytic converters were bad.
How much money did you put into the truck?
$2,165.
Okay. And you have proof of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where?
Can I help him?
I don't need you for anything.
Here. And it still needs another $2,165 for the other side.
And you have the title to the car, is that right?
Yes.
Now, do you want nothing or do you want your truck back, even though he added money to it? Do you want nothing or do you want your truck back? That's my question to you. You want nothing or you want your truck back?
My truck.
Great. And you want your car back?
Yes.
Perfect. And both of you have agreed, because there was clearly some misunderstanding between the two of you, giving you the total benefit of the doubt, sir, that there was additional money to be forthcoming. I'm speaking. Understand this. Neither one of you are leaving here with a penny. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. I put
very,
$2,000
very,
into
very,
his truck.
very easy. Very easy, sir. You're getting back a car that you say is worth, she says, is worth $20,000.
Your Honor, sorry.
It's not going to work for you. You're going to each end up with your own cars back. Since there was clearly a misunderstanding about the nature of the contract, what I'm telling you is I'm going to prepare an order that within 5 days of today's date, you are to exchange cars. Figure out where you want to do that, a mutually convenient place. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
Court is adjourned.
Not even the $2,000 I put into his truck?
Goodbye.
This way, sir.
You can sell your 47 for a lot more money.
I didn't bring us here. He brought us here.
I like this car. He liked my truck. When I got there, we did the exchange. He signed the titles. He gave me the keys to the vehicle.
Well, he gave me a truck that needed a $4,000 repair, and he didn't mention that when he gave it to me. And my car was nothing wrong with my car.
I have always maintained my vehicle. I have records of it and everything.
I'll just keep my car.
No more business deals.
So I really agree with you that there was no meeting of the minds because the defendant thought that the plaintiff was going to pay him an additional $10,000 for the 1947 Chrysler, and no one had any proof of anything. So it's really hard to come to court with zero proof on either side. So I think your ruling to leave them how they were found prior to any what they believed to be a contract was the right decision because...
I'm so glad you felt that way.
Well, I mean, I was thinking to myself, looking over the papers, what's she going to do with this one? You know, it's hard because with no proof and a he said, she said verbal agreements with tangible items like vehicles, I probably would have done the same thing. I don't know what to make of this. I have nothing to look at, nothing to rely on.
And it was so interesting because they both bought these cars recently.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them had bill of sale, said he paid cash, $12,500. Show me where you withdrew the money from a bank. Mm-hmm. The whole thing was suspicious to me. So to me, the easiest thing to do was leave the parties
as you found them.
As you found them. They had no contract because there was no meeting of the minds as to what the particulars were of the contract. You get your truck back in a little better shape. You get your car back probably in a little better shape and
be on your
for car damages and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2003, Gaines versus Gaines.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Ms. Gaines, you and the defendant are half-sisters. You share the same father.
Yes.
Have you always had a relationship with your father?
Yes.
And you, Ms. Gaines?
Yes.
There came a time when you were living with your dad.
Yes.
From when to when were you living with your dad?
From October 2018 to December 2021.
And who was living at the same residence?
It was me, my dad, and a roommate, my dad's roommate.
No children?
Yes, my children stayed there as well. I do apologize.
Well, that's important.
Sorry.
How many children?
I have 4 daughters.
How old are they?
11, 10, 4, and 5.
Were you working?
Yes.
From 18 to 21?
I stopped working in November 2019, and I started back working October 21.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for United Healthcare. I'm a customer service rep for Optum.
Just so that I get a sense, because this is a family issue, you clearly had a life before you moved to your father's house in 2018. Can you tell me why you moved into your father's house in 2018?
Because where I was living, the house was smaller, and my dad felt like he wanted me and my children to be in a safer environment.
So you had an ongoing, constant relationship with him?
Yes.
And Ms. Gaines, tell me about you. Did you ever live with your father?
I lived with my father when I was in the 9th grade.
But not since you were a child?
No.
Did you maintain a relationship with him?
I did. Me and my father do mechanic work together most of the time, so I'm at his house a lot.
Was that a business that you had together?
Just more so for fun, family time. If he needed help, I could go in and assist him. I just used that as extra time.
And that was consistent and up through 2021?
Yes.
So you saw your sister there? Because she was living there with her children?
Yes. On occasion, though, her and her kids would be out more often. I would just go and visit my dad when the house was empty and he needed more company and help and assistance because he was there alone.
How old was he?
He's about 24 years older than me, so I believe he's like 59 now.
Did you see your sister at your father's house in the years that you were living there?
She came to visit, yes.
And they worked together on mechanical stuff?
I never saw that. Me and my sister, we had a close relationship, so she would come over and hang out with me all the time.
Okay, good. And then, unfortunately, something happened. You want to tell me when that was and what it was?
October, I believe it was the 30th, me and my sister, we got into an altercation.
Tell me the beginnings of it, because each of you claimed that the other harassed, claim your sister assaulted you, and both of you claimed some damage to automobiles that was caused by the other during the course of these altercations. Okay, so tell me what happened in October.
So the Thursday prior to the 30th, which was a Saturday in October, my sister was supposed to come to my house and do my kids' hair. But that was something that I had just asked her to do. Like we said, I stayed with my dad. They were having some issues, so
Who was having issues?
My sister and my dad.
Were you having issues with your father around that time?
I was told I was having issues with my father at that time by my sister Jessica.
Did you discuss it with your father?
I did, and I found out that that was a lie that Jessica had told him, was making up lies to make us not like each other.
Okay, so there was some bad feeling about that.
Right, so I was inviting her over because she was struggling, and I needed my kids' hair done for picture day. So
She was what?
Struggling.
Struggling.
Financially.
Okay.
So I offered to pay her to do my kids' hair. My dad did inform me that she wasn't able to come to the house, that I needed to go to her house. And I don't really know what her situation was like over there, so I let my dad know I was uncomfortable. And I also let her know our dad said it was not okay for you to come over here with us today. And he wanted an apology.
He wanted an apology?
Yes.
From her?
Yes.
Is your father well?
He has diabetes and
Okay, but there's nothing preventing him from coming to court. Okay, well then you can't tell me what he told you because that's hearsay. Did your sister come over to the house on October 30th?
Yes.
Approximately what time?
I believe 11:30 in the morning.
Had you had a conversation with her that morning and told her not to come over?
Yes.
Did you tell her why?
Oh, I can't speak on it because he's not here.
No.
I don't.
My question is, did you tell your sister why?
Yes.
What did you tell your sister?
That our dad would not want her there.
Is that what she told you?
That is what she told me.
Did you ask her why?
I did.
What did she tell you?
She told me that my dad was under the impression that I was hanging out with drug dealers and dangerous people, and that he didn't want me around.
Did you call your father?
I did.
And you had a discussion with him?
I did.
Were you invited over to the house?
I called.
That's either a yes or a no?
No.
So now you have information, whether accurate or not, that you weren't welcome in your father's house for whatever reason, or for the reason that was articulated to you. You called your father to confirm that, and your father did, in fact, confirm that.
He confirmed that there was a issue between Jessica and I, and that we needed to resolve it. He was not going to get involved with it, but he did not confirm that I was denied access to his house.
Well, just from my information, what did you think the issue was between you and your sister?
She was lying to my father.
Well, no, your father didn't say that your sister's lying to me. Your father had to have indicated to you that these are the things that I'm being told, and you have to resolve that with your sister.
Yes.
But your father told you not to come to the house.
No, he did not tell me not to come to the house.
Did he suggest you come to the house?
Neither. He neither suggested I come or not to. He just said I should
resolve it with her.
Yes.
Okay. And you went over there that morning?
I stated to her that I would come over and resolve it right then and there.
You told him?
They were both on the phone. Okay. I called his cell phone.
Did your sister, then your sister said, I'm going to come over, and you knew she was coming?
Yes, she said.
Okay, that's a yes. You knew she was coming, so this wasn't a surprise visit. You knew she was coming. Now tell me what happened when she got there.
So when she gets there, me and my dad were standing outside already. She gets out of her car. I approach her car. It's a little back and forth, and then...
No, tell me the back and forth, and try to keep your voice up.
Sorry. So when I approach her car, she jumps out the car. Then she reaches for a taser. So then I close her in the door. And once my dad, we're outside together, he pulls me off the door. She then takes her car, it's a video. She's attempting to run me over with her car. She did manage to run over my foot. I then went in the house. I got a broomstick, like an attachment, like the broom wasn't attached. But I've got the broomstick, and I went outside and I started swinging it at her car. And I damaged the hood of her car and the window.
And then she left?
No. She stayed at the house. I went back in the house. She called the police, and I'm not sure what happened after she called the police.
Well, did the police arrive?
My dad informed me that we didn't know what she was telling the police, that when police come, everybody gets arrested. So he said, I had something to do that day, go get a facial at an appointment at 1 o'clock. So I just went ahead and headed off to that.
So you left?
Yes.
You knew she called the police and you left,
yes.
leaving your dad to explain to the police what happened?
My dad didn't talk to the police neither.
So they just came?
As far as I know, they just came, knocked on the door. When I called to see if there was a report made, the police said no report was made. That was it.
Okay, fine. So the damage that was done to your car was done with a broomstick handle?
Yes.
To her car?
Yes.
By you?
Yes.
Now, Miss Gaines, did you have a taser in your car?
I don't own a taser.
And when you got to the house, your father was standing with her?
No.
Where was he?
He was exiting the house. She was already, when I pulled up, she was exiting the house.
But he was outside?
She was already at the sidewalk when I pulled up. Okay. So he was at the door.
Well, why don't you tell me your version of what happened when you pulled up?
I pulled up. I was recording the incident on my phone. I don't have that recording because it was on Instagram. I didn't want the embarrassment to go on any longer. I tried to screen record it, but it didn't save.
Okay, so you don't have video?
I don't have that full video. I do have a short video of her actually attacking the car with the stick that she came out of the house with, though. So I do have that.
I'd like to look at it.
I have the full video.
Okay, I'd like to see hers, and thank you for telling me you have the full video.
Okay.
I think the full video might be more sufficient because I have bits and pieces of the video.
Kevin, I'm going to take both. Would you pull up the video that you have on your phone?
We're going to go over to my family member's house right now to find out why we want to fight me. She has literally did everything in her possibility to make my dad my enemy. She has moved into his house, told him I'm on drugs. My family have come up with the excuse that I'm on drugs, and that's why nobody has come to see me. Yeah, do it. I'm on live.
First, Miss Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car?
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that.
Jessica Gaines claims her sister, Joanne Gaines, vandalized her car and harassed her. Joanne is countersuing for an assault and filing a false restraining order against her.
Okay, Miss Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car?
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that?
She sued me for the damages already.
She sued you. Did she get the damages?
Yes.
Oh.
She was granted.
Okay. Okay, so you sued her already and you got a judgment?
Yes, for that incident.
For this damage?
But not the damage that would happen on December the 12th.
Just a second. Sorry. Okay, so we don't have to deal with this damage. And subsequent to this damage that you caused to your sister's car, you had damage to your car?
Yes.
And tell me what that was.
So on 3 different occasions, she came to my house and popped both of my tires on the driver's side of my car.
Okay. And this was after October 30th?
Yes.
You'd been living at your father's house for 3 years?
Yes.
With your children. During that 3-year period of time, was your car ever damaged?
No.
Did you ever have tires popped on the car?
No.
Did you confront your sister at any time about the damage to your car?
No.
According to this, you have a video of her near your car.
Yes.
On one of those occasions?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Before I even look at it, Ms. Gaines, you received a judgment and were compensated for the damage to your car caused by your sister. Mm-hmm. Do you acknowledge that you or someone acting on your behalf flattened her tires?
One tire.
Okay. So you say you flattened them one time?
One tire, one time.
And when?
Right before November.
Okay. And what did you flatten the tires with?
A knife.
So
just
you
one
slashed.
Tire.
She did say tires, didn't
just
she?
One tire.
She said one tire, one time.
Okay. And that was in November?
Beginning of November.
Did you pay for that tire?
I did not.
And do you have photographs of the flattened tires?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at them. How many times were they flattened?
My tires were flattened 3 times.
Tires. How many tires the first time?
2.
How many tires the second time?
Sorry, I just want to make sure. 2.
How many tires the third time?
2.
And you filed a case against your sister for damage to your car on what date?
This is the court case I filed for damages for my car. Well, originally I just filed for...
When did she file the case, against you for damages to her car?
December 16th.
And your tires had already been flattened how many times?
3.
Do you have a bill for those tires?
Yes, well, I had took the receipt before, so I don't have the receipt, but I have the police report where the police...
No, I want to see the receipt.
I'm sorry.
I need damages. You want damages, you have to show me that you spent money to replace the tires and how much they cost.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When I went to court, when she was suing me for her car, I just took the receipts as proof, and when the judge took it, I never got it back.
Did you countersue her for the tires when she sued you?
No.
Well, why would the judge take your receipts for the tire?
Because he took all of our evidence at the end of the case.
No. The only reason a court would take your evidence is if you had a counterclaim for your damage.
I'm new to the court thing, so I didn't know to countersue. So when I had to file paperwork, so when I went to court on our court date, I was just letting the judge know, like, look, she did these damages to me. I didn't file a countersue claim. I didn't know I had to do that.
The judge looked at it and didn't return that to you?
He said any evidence that we wanted to be taken into consideration to leave it with him, and I left it with him.
And what kind of tires did you purchase?
I believe they say Bridgestone on them.
And what's the name, make, and model of your car?
It's a 2005 Cadillac Escalade.
Can you get me any information about that, Sarah? Cost of cars, 2000 Escalade, what kind of tires it uses? Okay, so the harassment that you're talking about by your sister, because that's the other part of your claim, the vandalism is one, which Sarah is looking up now. The damages for harassment were the tires being slashed, is that right?
A part of it, yes.
Well, what's the other part?
Well, when I filed for the restraining order, the judge said it sounded like a family matter, so it didn't.
So the court dismissed it?
Yes. So on December 24th, which was Christmas Eve, I woke up and my tires were popped again. So I then asked my dad, is it okay if I record you reaching out to my sister, asking her to leave me alone so that if I do go to court again, I have some evidence? Because again, my dad didn't come to court back then. And he was like, I don't think I can do that because then she'll start messing with me and I can't afford to be down in the morning.
Okay.
And then I was just like, okay, well, at that point, I didn't feel safe there no more because she had already called Children's Services on me. And then every 2 weeks, my tires were being popped. I really couldn't afford it.
I got it. Do you recall how much you spent for each tire?
Each tire was $120.
So you spent a little over $700?
Yes.
Okay.
That's about right from what I'm seeing.
Okay. So, Ms. Gaines, let me tell you how I'm going to rule on her request for damages for her car. But I believe that some things make sense and some things don't. And if somebody has an MO of slashing tires as their reaction to having their car damaged, and if you acknowledge doing it and doing it one time, it is not a giant leap from my imagination that you caused the same damage to all 6 of her tires. I don't find that a giant leap. I think the whole thing is foolish, and I actually don't see the basis for coming out with a broomstick, except that you were angry and lashing out at her car. You could have stayed in your house and called the police. There was no reason for you to come out of the house at all, except to confront your sister. You had an application for a restraining order against your sister?
This is correct.
And you had a trial on that?
This is correct.
And you were granted a restraining order?
Yes.
For how long?
6 months.
And that expired?
It hasn't expired yet.
Yeah.
This was an incident. It was caused by her coming to my house after court.
Okay.
And causing more damage.
Okay. So I think that she had the right to file for a restraining order against you because part of your action is filing false restraining order. Part of your case was for vandalism to your car, but that was already done in another court.
That was part of the first case. We've been going since October.
Okay.
Jessica Gaines accuses her sister, Joanne Gaines, of slashing her tires. Joanne claims she needed to file a restraining order against Jessica.
Okay, let's get to the assault part of your claim that I would like to hear. First, I watched the video, and I have to tell you, Ms. Gaines, that In my judgment, what you took a big whiff of was a blunt. Is that what they call that?
That is.
Okay. And that's what was in the video, and that's while you were on your way over there and very, very angry and driving a car and lost in a sea of smoke. You understand? And I think that that's both foolish, bad judgment, dangerous to drive a car that way.
I agree, I'm sorry.
And shows an absolute lack of judgment. So I would think about that kind of behavior again if I were you. You want to tell me when and under what circumstances your sister assaulted you and where you were hospitalized or treated medically?
When I pulled up to the house, she had asked me to jump out of the vehicle.
How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She was standing on the sidewalk. I was putting the car in park, and she stated, hop out. And I said, okay, I guess we're hopping out.
That was sort of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the car.
I'm trying to talk to my dad. I have a...
Okay. Well, you talk to your dad later when things have calmed down and you're not high on weed.
I understand that you...
You got the damages for your car by way of a judgment. I've awarded you for the tires $726. $726 for the tires. That's the judgment of the court. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I only slashed her tires one tire, like I stated.
It was fair.
There's no receipts that were presented, so they were never damaged.
We got it, we got the proof, so.
She stated that I ran her over by the car, but she was walking back into her house. How are you walking if your foot got ran over by a car?
It's embarrassing.
Jealousy, maybe I don't feel that way. This is my younger sister. I love my younger sister. I don't wish that this wasn't even going on.
I really hope we have a better relationship going forward. I hope this is all over and behind us.
Yeah, there's no more family for me, I guess.
We're siblings. Siblings go through stuff.
So, my Sarah, the case to me, we've seen it before, siblings fighting, very unfortunate. So I'm going to ask you a question because I know I come from a separate generations, 3 down from you.
Okay.
And I've already accepted the fact that many states in this country have voted in favor of legislation which suggests that marijuana is a legal substance and decriminalizing it. Fine, just like alcohol.
Yeah.
That's what my grandchildren tell me. You drink alcohol, we do something else. But am I crazy? Because I watched that video, and to me that was the most interesting part of the video. And then she took this big cigar thing, which I found out what those were called back in my family court days, and it's interesting that I could recall it, called a blunt. Tell me what you think. Would it be no different if she took a big bottle of vodka from the passenger seat and took a couple of swigs before she got to a fight?
Yeah.
Okay, I want your take on that.
Yeah, even as a different generation, there's responsibilities and regulations and rules, the same with alcohol. So while it might be legalized, decriminalized in many states, you still have to follow the rules and act responsibly. I think there are different physiological effects.
Would you say that there was any jurisdiction in this country where you could smoke marijuana while you were driving?
I think it's still considered under the influence, which is just as bad as driving under the influence of alcohol. So I think it impairs your judgment all the same. And showing up to a fight high, I think, is equivalent to showing up drunk. And
even if you were going to a party.
Yeah, you're behind the wheel of tons of weight and something that could be used as a deadly weapon. So you got to be as sharp as you can.
Yeah. Just from this interaction, you're absolutely right legally, but I'm not getting the outrage.
No, outrageous. I think it is.
Okay.
I think driving under the influence of marijuana, alcohol, outrageous.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you...
হ্যালো ভিউয়ার্স, আসসালামু আলাইকুম। কেমন আছেন সবাই? আশা করি অনেক অনেক ভালো আছেন। তো আজকের টপিকটা হচ্ছে যে কিভাবে আমরা খুব দ্রুত আমাদের ভিডিওটি ভাইরাল করতে পারবো। তো এটা কিন্তু প্রত্যেকটা নতুন ইউটিউবারদের কিন্তু একই প্রশ্ন, সেম প্রশ্ন, সব কিছু সেম। কারণ হচ্ছে যে সকলেই চায় খুব দ্রুত কিন্তু ইউটিউব ভিডিওটা ভাইরাল করতে, তার নিজের ভিডিওটা ভাইরাল করতে। তো সেই টপিকটা নিয়ে আজকে ভিডিওতে আলোচনা করা হবে। তো ভাইরাল করার জন্য, খুব দ্রুত আপনার ভিডিওটি ভাইরাল করার জন্য প্রথমে যে জিনিসটা আপনার মাথায় রাখতে হবে সেটা হচ্ছে ট্রেন্ডিং টপিক নিয়ে কাজ করা। মানে রিসেন্টলি ঘটবে বা ঘটে গেছে এই ধরনের কোনো জিনিস নিয়ে কাজ করে, যেগুলো হচ্ছে ইউটিউবে বা গুগলে সার্চ বেশি হচ্ছে, ঠিক আছে? তো এই ধরনের টপিক নিয়ে যখন আপনি একটা ভিডিও তৈরি করবেন এবং ভিডিওটা যদি সেই টপিক অনুযায়ী সুন্দর করে এসইও করতে হবে, সার্চ ইঞ্জিন অপটিমাইজেশন এসইও করতে হবে আপনাকে। তো এসইও করার পর ট্রেন্ডিং টপিকের ভিডিওটা ক্রিয়েট করলেন, ভিডিও সুন্দর করে এডিটিং করলেন, সুন্দর করে এডিটিং করার পর ভিডিও আপলোড করে সুন্দর করে এসইও করে আপলোড করলেন। দেন আপনাকে সুন্দর একটা থাম্বনেল অ্যাড করতে হবে। হ্যাঁ, অনেকেই আছে দেখা যাচ্ছে সব কিছু করে কিন্তু থাম্বনেইল দেয় না, কারণ থাম্বনেইল হচ্ছে যে আপনি যখন ভিডিওটা এসইও করলেন, যখন কেউ সার্চ করবে আপনার ভিডিওটা সামনে গেল এবং আপনার থাম্বনেইলটা অসাধারণ সুন্দর, অসম্ভব সুন্দর একটা থাম্বনেইল দিয়েছেন, সেই থাম্বনেইল দেখেই কিন্তু সেই ভিডিওতে ক্লিক করতে পারবে। তো অবশ্যই এই জিনিসগুলো মাথায় রাখবেন। ভিডিওর ট্রেন্ডিং টপিক নিয়ে কাজ করতে হবে, ভিডিও সুন্দর করে এসইও করতে হবে এবং ভিডিওতে সুন্দর একটি আকর্ষণীয় থাম্বনেইল অ্যাড করতে হবে। আবার যেন থাম্বনেইল একটা দিবেন, ভিডিওর ভিতরে আরেকটা দিবেন, সেটা করা যাবে না, সেটা করলে আবার সমস্যা আছে। ঠিক আছে, তো সুন্দরভাবে এসইও করে সুন্দরভাবে থাম্বনেইল ক্রিয়েট করে অ্যাড করে দিলে কিন্তু আপনার ভিডিওটা ভাইরাল হয়ে যাবে।